What is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 3 of Joey Sizzle Sports. Today, I will be going over the Philadelphia Flyers 2025 draft picks. Well, just the first two rounds. Getting started, we took Porter Martone, who is 6'3", 208 pounds. He's the captain of his juniors team. He had 37 goals and 61 assists for 98 points in 57 games this year. He is an absolute superstar waiting to happen. I did mention in my mock drafts that I think he's a superstar. And, it's good that we have him. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in with the Flyers with so many wingers. But, obviously someone's going to get bumped down because he's that good. He does have questions about his skating. Although he gets where he needs to be, and he's physical, and I really like the way he plays. Great hands, great passer, very smart player. I wanted a center. I wanted Jake O'Brien. Everyone knows that. I didn't get what I wanted, but Flyers got size. Had already acquired Zegras, so I think that did play into them selecting Porter Martone instead of. I think, given the fact that they went with so much size in the draft, I think they would have taken O'Brien and not James Higgins, who were both available for them. But, they did get a player who most people have as a top 3 pick in this year's draft at 6. So that's really good. At least top 4, top 5. Getting him at 6 is good. Really skilled player, big physical winger. Flyers seem to have a type this year, and it was size. So I could see him making the NHL this year. I really could. It's possible he doesn't. Obviously, it's pretty likely he doesn't. But I think he's gonna. And then if not, I hear he might go to Penn State, which would be great because he'd be close by to the Philadelphia area. Flyers have a nice little trip to scout him, and then they could also scout the Columbus Blue Jackets first round pick Jackson Smith. A little opposition scouting. See like, oh man, he's good. We better watch out for him. Moving on, the Flyers traded up. They traded 22 and 31 with the Penguins to get the 12th pick, and with the 12th pick, they took Jack Nesbitt. And this is a player about a week ago that I would have been like, man, I hope the Flyers don't take him even in the second round. But I've seen a lot more of him lately, and maybe I just watched the wrong the wrong highlight package of him where he just seemed like he was just big for nothing. He's actually pretty good. He's a skilled forward. He's definitely gonna be a center. Flyers need a center. He's huge, 6'5", 186. So he has some filling out to do, and he'll probably stay in Canada. He's from the Western Hockey League, he could join. A lot of Canadian juniors are going to the NCAA now because the NIL deals where they can get paid a good money to be a college hockey player in this case, football, basketball, baseball, whatever. But, we're talking about hockey. You never know. He could go to a college team, which would be great. That would really help him fill out his frame because, they just skate and work out during the week and then they play their games on the weekends in college. And, if he did that, that'd be a good fit for him. But, he had a meteoric rise. His draft minus 1 year, he only put up 18 points in 55 games. This year he put up, 65 points in 66 games? Let me take a look at my notes. Yes, 64 points in, I think it was 65 games. 25 goals, 39 assists. Last year he had 9 goals, 9 assists in 55 games. I see him as a second line center as his ceiling and a third line center as his floor. He's actually very skilled. He uses his size very well to defend, to shield pucks, to be physical when needed. And he's just going to get bigger and stronger. Maybe not taller because 6'5" is really tall. But he's going to put on probably 20, 30, maybe 40 pounds. He could be, 225 when he plays in the NHL, and he wouldn't, look overweight or be too bulky at that size. We'll see what Jack Nesbitt can do for the Flyers. I definitely see NHL projectability. I see size. There were games last year where the Flyers absolutely got bullied, just straight bullied, especially when they didn't have Delorier and or Garrett Hathaway in the lineup. And you really need size in the NHL these days. You can't let teams push you around. Having fast skaters that just buzz around the ice. One of their big guys is just gonna look to like clobber you. And then when you get mad about it and you have no one big enough to fight the guy who just clobbered, your small speedy winger or whatever, you know, just things don't go well. You need to. It's like in MMA when the one guy is just hitting you, and he's just walking you down. You need to hit him back with something hard. You need to get some respect back, and I think that's what the Flyers are doing this draft. It almost reminds me of back in the '70s. Not that I was alive; I was born at the very end of 1979, so I wasn't alive for this. But I heard that when the Flyers first came in the league, and I think it was 1967, they were like very small, skilled Euros, and they just got bullied. And they're like, "Hey," like Ed Snyder's like, "Hey, what the hell? They're just pushing us around. They're cheap shotting us," and they're like, and then NHL's like, "Well, we ain't gonna do nothing for you." And then Ed Snyder's like, "Okay, cool. Let's see what happens." And he just drafted the biggest, meanest sons of bitches that could play hockey. Sorry, to curse. And yeah, Broad Street Bullies were born. Everyone's like, "Oh no, they're so mean." It's like, no, you brought this. You asked for this. And I feel like the Flyers are, maybe not as much of an extent as back in the early '70s. But I really think that, like last year they were watching themselves and they're like, we're getting bullied. This is bad. We're the Philadelphia Flyers. We're not supposed to get bullied around. And we just had too many smallish players. You got Michkov, who's a stud. You got Konechny, who's a stud. And you got Brink, who's looking like he's really, really good too. But you didn't have much size to help them. I mean, Sean Couturier is big, but he's not tough, you know? And, who else they have that has size? I mean, Cates isn't very big. We just don't have a whole lot of size in our lineup, a whole lot of toughness. And this draft is gonna remedy that. Moving on to the third pick, the third player the Flyers picked, and that's Carter Amico, 38th overall. They made an interesting trade. I think it was 36 and 68. Their only third round pick for 38 and 57. At 38, they took humongous right-handed defenseman Carter Amico from the U.S. NDTP. I always don't know if I get the T and P in the right order. But he is 6'6", 234 pounds. He knows who he is, and he plays like he knows who he is. He is 6'6", and he uses his frame. He uses his size. He has a mean streak. He's big, and the good thing about him is he's a really good skater, especially for his size. Really good skater. He gets anywhere he needs to be. He didn't play much this year because he broke his kneecap early in the season and didn't play a whole lot. But he's very projectable. This is a lot of the Flyers players they picked are very projectable. I can definitely see him in the NHL too as number 4, number 5 type defenseman. I don't see him as a top pair. I see him as, just a big guy who could be, if we have like he would go well with say like a Cam York or uh Emil Andre. One of our not I mean Cam York isn't small. I think he's 6'1". Emil Andre is, I think he's 5'10". But you have a speedy, quick, agile, puck moving, skilled defenseman, and then you have the hammer in Carter Amico, who has some skill of his own, and I think he has some goal scoring ability, and he could possibly be like that Chris Pronger light, not Chris Pronger, like Chris Pronger light, but like I could see him having a blast from the point, which would really, you get him on center point. You got that umbrella type style. You say you have Martone on the left circle, Michkov on the right circle, and you have Carter Miko as he just bombs it from the point, and like someone gets in front of the net and tries to tip it in. And that could be Jack Murtagh, who's coming up in the next pick. You could have making a real nice power play. You got Porter Martone who holds the puck, and sees the ice very well, makes really good passes. You got Matvey Michkov, and we all know what Matvey Michkov is. Like he should have won Rookie of the Year this year. He just had the wrong coach. He had a lot of adjustments to make coming from Russia. Everyone else, Dustin Wolf, Macklin Celebrini, Lane Hudson, they're all from North America. Matvey Michkov's from Russia. Different language. He was learning English. He did a great job. His English has come a long way, and that's awesome. That's going to help him, believe it or not. On the team and away from the team in Philadelphia. You got so much talent right now with the Flyers. You got some size now, so they won't get pushed around. I I didn't like it. I wanted Martone. I mean, I wanted O'Brien. I wanted Cullen Potter, and I wanted Bill Zahn. And I thought, and they could have gotten Zahn in at 22 because Pittsburgh got him at 22 because we traded 22 and 31 to them. And you could have gotten Potter at 31 because he went 32. They could have had all three of the guys I wanted. But they wanted size, and they got size. They got lots and lots and lots of size. And in the NHL today, recency bias, looking at what, Florida did, looking at, Edmonton, they're a big team too. And, big people beat up little people, right? Chip Kelly, everyone's favorite former Eagles head coach. Yeah, just kidding. No one really likes him anymore. Moving on to Jack Murtagh. He played in the US NDTP also, just like Carter Amico. He had 18 points, 7 goals, 11 assists in 24 games with the NTDP. And then when the NDTP played in the USHL, he had 53 points in 53 games, 22 goals, 31 assists. I really like him. I think that he's going to be a fan favorite in Philly. I think he has a lot of really good traits. He goes to the net. I love guys that go to the net. That's where there's so many easy goals to be scored. If you don't go to the net, you're not going to score those easy goals. You're not going to beat these NHL goalies that are 6'6", 240 pounds from 30 feet out. You need to get to the net. You need to beat them with plays, and that's what Jack Murtagh does. 6'1", 198. So he's not as tall. He's the shortest player we drafted at this point in the draft. But at 198, he's nice and filled out. 6'1", 198. That's a sturdy player. I could really see him being considered a steal of this draft. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of skill. A lot of mock drafts had him in the 20s, 30s. Got him at 40. Good pick, good player, good motor. I like this pick. And the next pick I like maybe even more. And Shane Van Saggy went to Michigan State as a true freshman last year. He had 16 points, 6 goals and 10 assists. And I believe it was 38 games last year. Really big, 6'3", 216, plays like it. Plays with a mean streak, goes to the net. I definitely see this guy as a really good third line winger. I see him as I could see him actually moving up in the lineup at kind of like a Mike Knuble, Scott Hartnell type, where maybe he's your third line center, but then you have an injury or you need to shuffle the lines because in the NHL they're always shuffling lines, especially in the playoffs. And this is a great guy to have because I could see him playing. I could even see him playing center in a pinch. I could, not first line center. If he's playing first line center, something went really wrong. But I could see him, filling in at center. Obviously, wingers always take face-offs, just because their center gets kicked out of the circle. Yeah, I like this guy. I like the college players. I think that he'll be a nice pro, and I think he'll be coming to Philly in maybe not, definitely not this year. I don't see it this year. Maybe next year, and probably by the year after, depending if we have openings for him. Because we drafted a lot of players, and we have a fairly decent roster. I mean, we really do. We just needed size, and we just needed like I think I think Couturier. I think he's finally healthy from his back injury, and if he can go back to younger Sean Couturier, I know he's older now, but he was never fast. It's not like he was like, "Oh my God, look how fast Sean Couturier is." Said no one ever. But if he can go back to being a shutdown, defensive player and chip in 25 to 35 goals while getting 30, 40 assists, that makes the Flyers a lot better. Michkov having a second season where he really comes on. I mean, he really came on at the end of the year last year. Really finished with, you know, really great. Had a really great finish to the year last year. Um, I really see, you know, I could see the Flyers being pretty good. Hopefully next year. I think Porter Martone will make the team. I wonder if Zegers will be a center because he's been used at wing in Anaheim, and Anaheim's, they're no better than us. I mean, they finished a little better than us, but I feel like the Flyers kind of were like, you know what? We're not making the playoffs here, so let's do a subtle mini tank. And, they got down to the fourth spot and then got bumped back by the draft lottery to six. But Anaheim was, what were they, eighth, and got bumped back two spots as well. So I mean, they're no better than us, but hopefully Zegers will be a center. I mean, I think the Flyers have a lot of faith in him. I really, really think that the Flyers think they got a gem. I don't know if they did or didn't, but I think they really, really like Zegers. I think that acquiring him is why they were able to take Martone at six. I think if they had not acquired him, I think that they would have taken a center, and I think it would have been Jake O'Brien, because because they needed centers and they needed size, and James Higgins does not have the size that they want. So I think it would have been O'Brien. I doubt it would have been McQueen. I hope not. I don't like McQueen really because a lot of people think he's going to be a winger. There's questions about his work ethic, some questions about how he plays as a team player. Um, you know, but I'm not. He also is super talented in 6'5". So obviously he's 18, 17, 18. He's probably 18 now. So he's got a lot of maturing to do, a lot of coaching up, and obviously you take talent, and Roger McQueen has tons of talent. So just I don't know. I like how the Flyers went with players that are dialed in with their attitude, dialed in with their team play, that are they're there to they want to win hockey games. They don't want to be like look at me, I'm a fancy player. I made this between the legs goal. What just happened there? What just happened there? Did my laptop die on me? Don't you go dying on me. Just got a blank screen all of a sudden. Where am I? Am I here? What is going on, laptop? It says I'm still recording, but I don't see my video. Hopefully I can edit this part out. I don't know if I'm good at editing. But anyway, moving on to the Flyers' final pick of the second round. 57th overall, they took Matthew Guard. And guess what? He's 6'5", 194 pounds.